Hey guys, it's Will here. I wanted to go through the market charts, but I wanted to talk about some stuff you can do with TC2000, and that's going to be the relative strength, comparing it to a stock or another index besides the SPY. I'll talk about that. And I'm going to look at the slope of the MACD, or the price percent oscillator, which is the momentum, so that we can find stronger moving stocks or ETFs, and how I did that in TC2000. If you want to pick up a free trial or $25 off, check out the link for this software. Check out the link in the description below. There's a few links in there, and I've got the gold plan, and I get real-time US data. So you can see here that the pre-market at 8:11 Eastern. So I'm seeing a candle right here. It shows 8:12. So I'm seeing the pre-market price action, which is nice. All right. So if we look at the Dow, the chart looks fine. Generally speaking, I'm concerned right now just with the elevated nature of the markets. But, you try your best to focus on the charts and what's in front of you. The one thing I don't like is this MACD, like the momentum is crossed down and it's heading down. So sometimes people look at like what they call a divergence. It's not quite like this. Would be a divergence when you're seeing lower highs. So you don't really have that here, but if you look at the histogram, you can see the momentum has definitely been declining here. And then, but in terms of the chart, it looks fine. There's nothing imminent here. There's a bit of a lower high here, so it tried to come up and it came back down, so we'll see what happens there. But if we go to the S&P 500, it's above the 21 exponential. This momentum is similarly coming down. It's kind of crossing over pretty flat right here, so that's not great. I mean, the MACD, or the price percent oscillator, doesn't always reflect. Like, you have an uptrending market here, even if with a flat, or even sometimes little dips here. So on a daily chart, it's not always significant, but it's just something to look at. But like in terms of the chart, everything's looking pretty good. We're close to the high and stuff like that. Nasdaq, similar situation with the MACD crossing down or flat, and but nothing imminently scary or anything. It's just everybody's talking about inflation and all that stuff. So, and the money printing and the borrowing. So there's a lot of fear out there. IWM recently broke out over this really long consolidation, and it pulled back a bit. So I mean, the charts look fine. I don't like when I see the declining momentum here, but that can happen for a short period of time. It doesn't, like, this comes down, curls back, but I don't like that downtrend there in the momentum. But just from the price and where it's located, that looks fine. So what I wanted to talk about is a couple indicators and conditions you can put for searching, stocks and ETFs. And of course, there's a ton of different conditions and things you might be interested in. But what I've been doing a lot of lately, or for quite a while, is the ratio charts, where I compare, two things together. Like, I find the best ETF or index, and then I compare everything to that. Now, most people, the built-in comparison here is to the S&P 500. So let's say you have a chart like this, but you don't have some of these things down here. If you right-click and say Add Plot, and you type in relative, you get this relative strength 1 year versus S&P 500. And that's a built-in one. And so that'll show up here somewhere, depending on what your charts look like, how many indicators, how many plots you have. but you put it down below your main price chart. But if you go in here and you edit it, you're able to type in another index like the Nasdaq, and it actually pops up, stocks, whatever you want to compare to. So I've noticed when I compare Nasdaq to S&P that the Nasdaq does better than the S&P over time, like over long periods of time. So I want to make sure I'm in the best, stocks or ETFs. So I switched that to the Nasdaq because I think that it is longer term, it does way better. So I want to find a few things that are actually better than, the Nasdaq in terms of ETFs or whatever you're looking for. So I'll switch that back to SPY just so you can see. What you can do though is you can make a condition. If you want to search ETFs or stocks for something, it's not always built in, so you have to create a condition for that, because you don't want to like look at every ETF and go down here and see where it's at relative to the S&P. And one of the criteria that you could use is the line here for relative strength. Is it above the 21 moving average? So I have the relative strength, but I also plotted the 21, 50, and 200 for the relative strength itself, because I don't want to just buy something that's heading up, like a little bit of an upslope here. I want to see something that has some momentum. If you look at the moving averages here, look at this trend here. You don't want to just buy something that's going up. You want to make sure that it's doing better than, the S&P or whatever. So this would be like, you're in an uptrend with the 50, the 21, you're above the 21. So I want to make sure I'm above the 21. You could do other things as well. Like this hasn't gotten above the 200 MA yet. But if we click on this 21, we can create a condition, or we can save it as an indicator. And the indicator, like if you have that, you can do things, conditions, you can use those to scan. So if we look at, if I go to watch list and let's say ETFs, and I click on scan, select conditions, add a condition. If I go relative strength, you can see, RS. I created this one where the RS relative strength compared to the Nasdaq, the 21 is above the 50. And it's also, the relative strength is above the 50-day moving average. So the 21 is above the 50. The price is, the relative strength is above the 50. Above the 50 and that's for the Nasdaq. I use ZQQ, that's a Canadian, ETF, but you can put the QQQ in there. And so what happens is you get ETFs, and you can see that the relative strength is better than, I'd have to switch this to, let's just go ZQQ just so you can see. So the relative strength of technology in the US, this is a US one, so you'd want to compare like US to US, so I should probably stick to the Nasdaq and just keep it like that. But this way you can scan for something instead of looking at every chart and saying, because like at first I used to just look at, is it an uptrend or is it breaking through a downtrend, my typical technical analysis. But now I'm looking at, I've been talking about this for a while, but the relative strength is making sure I'm picking some of the best stocks or ETFs relative to the overall market, like the Nasdaq or whatever. So I'm picking the strongest things, not just things that are going up, because they might go up, you might do well, but they won't do as well as you could do. So relative strength ratio charts is really valuable. If we look at, okay, so that's that topic, and then I wanted to go to another topic, and this is for TC2000 as well. When you have an indicator, you can put it on the chart. So if I have this little watch list here, and what I can do is add a column, and I can put like MACD or whatever on there. So I have this column called PPO, which is basically the same as MACD slope, and it's on a daily basis. So if you right click on this, I can edit and I can change it. And all I did was took it's not really price percent oscillator, but it's the MACD and then minus the one from the day before. So that's just the slope. It's not exactly the slope, but it's the difference between the current and the one before it. So that'll tell you if it's up or down. And there's more complicated formula for price percent oscillator. But basically, when you sort it by the price per, the MACD slope, let's say, you're going to see you're going to see the ETFs in this case that have the highest momentum, like in the upslope. That's this line here. So if I click on gold, you can see that the uptrend is really good. So even if, like, sometimes every day you look at it and you're like, oh, this one's down 0.73 and you might not want to buy it. And of course you have to look at the chart, like this is pretty high up off of the moving average. But the momentum shows you that it's in an uptrend. So it's a stronger indicator that this thing might be having more luck in the future, like in an uptrend. So it gives you a quick way to see what's doing the best. And so right now with interest and inflation, people talking about, you're seeing platinum, like metals. You have gold. You have you should have silver. That's a little bit down here. You have, the platinum, I said, and the palladium, or this one's just physical platinum. And then I've noticed that, cannabis, YOLO, and this chart looks great because it had this huge downtrend and now it broke through and it's actually above the 50. So if you look at cannabis and you want to pick up, and then the other thing is with TC2000, you can click on this and see the stocks. So you have the typical IIPR, grow generation, all the ones that canopy growth and stuff like that. And so you could decide you want to just buy, and you can click on any of these and just instantly goes to the chart, which is really nice. But what I've noticed is gold and miners, of course, are breaking up. You've got a new higher low here, and now you're up above the 200. So gold is definitely moving. The miners give you more leverage on that gold. And so it goes up or down more than the gold itself. The other thing that's moving a little bit is emerging markets, like China. So you have MCHI, not quite strong, where I'd want to see it, but emerging markets can, there's EWZ, which is Brazil, or Z. You might start seeing emerging markets and things like that do well. Precious metals, stuff like that. If we continue to see inflation, there's going to be commodities and things like that. Let's see if I have, this is coffee, obviously. That's a commodity, huge uptrend. KWeb is a Chinese tech internet that's been beaten up pretty badly. So we're starting to see, some increase in that. Soybeans is another one. That's been in a downtrend, so we'll see after going up huge. So that hasn't really turned around 100% yet, but keep an eye on that one. So that's mainly what I wanted to talk about, was using the slope of the MACD. Or indicators. You can, if you have a what I do sometimes is when I have an indicator, like a chart here that I'm looking at, you can click on this arrow and you can create a condition, and you can say price percent oscillator is crossing the average. So you want to get that, or you want it to be just upslope. So I can say moving up. So that might be a better way than what I did here, where I manually just typed it in. And then if you save it as an indicator, you get kind of like a value. So you might put that as a column, you know, just the number itself or something like these numbers here. And you could say, I want to get stocks or ETFs that are above zero. Like a lot of times, even though it crosses, it's still below the zero line. So you can see here that, you know, there was some crosses, but you're in a lower area. So you might, when you notice, like for soybeans, when you're up in this upslope, like how much higher you're in the momentum. So it's something to consider, not just the cross, but like where we're at in terms of the value. So price percent oscillator kind of gives you this zero. It zeroes out everything in terms of comparison. So zero is like your baseline, whereas MACD would be more dependent on the price of the individual security. This thing gives you a relative, like as an indexed sort of indicator value, so that you don't have to worry about you know, the difference between one stock and another. It's all zeroed out. So that's why I use price percent oscillator instead. So anyway, yeah, if you want to get TC2000, like I said, I've got the gold plan. You can get a link in the description, free trial or $25 off. There's about 80 people right now, and some people drop off over time that have signed up. So thanks to everybody. Hope you're enjoying it. I use it daily for scanning things and ETFs, and you can have your own watch list of the stocks that you purchased or ETFs and sort of watch them. You can put alerts, like I have alerts on here. So I've got a console. I'm looking for certain things to happen. You don't have to sit there and watch stocks all day. You can just put an alert at a certain price or a crossover of a moving average, and then have it text you. So hope that helps. We'll see you guys in the next video.